Oh wait, no longer. The Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart spoiler-free review discussion is here. I am your host, Joseph, and join me today is our good friend, Brock Mclaughlin, who's going to share his thoughts on Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Just to let y'all know, again, this is absolutely spoiler-free, and everything you're going to see, Sony has shown you before, and everything we're going to speak on is completely spoiler-free. So with all that said, with all that out of the way, let's get right into it. Brock, how are you doing, my man?
I'm so good. I'm smiling because I get to see you, and you had a big day. So congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a big day indeed. And with that, I want to ask you something because a few nights ago you were like, "I just beat Ratchet and Clank. I need to talk to you about Ratchet and Clank." So before we talk about this game, I want to know where your head's at walking in because there's been over 19 Ratchet and Clank games. This one being the most recent one. So where do you fall as a Ratchet and Clank fan?
That blows my mind.
Right?
There's no way.
It's been yes way.
Wow. So no, definitely not a big fan. If that number is surprising me here. Look, I didn't mind it on the back in the PS2 days. I feel like everyone had Ratchet and Clank back in the PS2 days. PS3 kind of fell off. I don't even remember the PS4. Oh, yes, I do. Of course I do.
Yeah.
It was the reboot came on the PS4, and that version was like the one that brought the game back for me. And I was like, damn, you know what? This is a really great platformer that we haven't kind of had in a long time. And I love I'm going to just swear. I love the shit out of the last one. It was really fun. And right before playing this one, I kind of went back and replayed around with it. And when did it come out? 2016, I think.
Yep.
Like 5 years ago. It holds up really well. It's a really fun game.
And my favorite Ratchet and Clank, and I'm sorry for cutting you off, but it's also my first, is Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. I was huge into Ratchet and Clank when I was a kid, and you know, in the PS3 era, I too kind of like dropped off as well, and then reintroduced to Ratchet and Clank with the PlayStation 4 game being such a showcase of the tech. And how ironic it is that we're in the PS5 era and now it's also the showcase here. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the weapons. That's the thing that makes Ratchet and Clank. So
It is.
tell me how the weapons feel, man.
I wanted to flex my memory first and see if Up Your Arsenal, is that the second game?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. My memory's not gone yet in my older age. Sweet. The weapons are really kick-ass, man.
Yeah.
They really tie this, like they really bring fun to this game. But the big thing is just how mind-blowing they look in action. Right off the bat, like my favorite gun's this lightning gun that daisy chains a bunch of villains together, and like the more you power it up, the more you can like connect dudes together that are all like getting electrocuted, and you can see their bones and like blue going up and smoke's going everywhere, and it just looks like your eyes are melting. Like you're like, damn, I've never seen something like this in a video game before. And I feel like that's my reaction to a lot of this game is, damn, I didn't know they could look this good and this immersive.
And so let's talk about that because, yeah, one of the guns we saw was like the digitizer that made its way back where when you shoot enemies, it turns them like digified. Like, how are the particle effects in the game? Because we saw how beautiful the game looks in the state of play and all the atmospheric stuff, but like the weapon play, how does like the particles effects in the way that it uses PlayStation 5, how does it look and feel to you?
Nuts. It looks nuts and bolts, man.
Yeah.
But no, it's honestly so cool. They all feel so different, and I didn't really notice it until you kind of get more guns and you start upgrading them, just how different it is. Because you start with a boring blaster pistol that really sucks no matter how much you upgrade it, which I thought eventually if I upgrade enough it's going to get better. It did not. It just sucked.
Would you say that's your least favorite weapon? Is the boring blaster?
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, hands down. But it was the first one I leveled up to get the achievement, right? I was like, okay, this is the easiest one. Let's just do this. But there's just so many different weapons, and I feel like there's like double the weapons they had in the first game. There's so many. I don't remember, or sorry, when I say the first game, I mean the remake.
Yeah.
I don't remember there being that many guns in that one comparatively to this one. There's just so many you can choose from, and they all feel so amazing. They look so cool. There's like one that like throws like buzzsaws at people that go all over your screen. You have like the ricochet that just makes like a firework display bouncing across, and you're just like sitting there going, holy shit, this is really fun. I want to kill everybody over and over and over again. And that kind of game loop of that battle keeps you coming back because how beautiful this is. And like I have like the best like TV for this kind of thing. Like you can out there like the OLED, the LG, whatever. This thing is like popping off the screen. I've never seen visuals this great in my life, which is something, you know.
I love hearing you gush about this. Yeah. No, I love hearing you gush about this. This is awesome. And talking about how weapons feel, how are the haptic feedbacks and the adaptive triggers in Ratchet and Clank of Rift Apart? Because that's the one thing I love in a lot of the first party stuff with the PS5 in the first year is the haptics just feel fantastic. So is it as good as, let's just say, an Astrobot or a Sackboy's Great Adventure or even like a Returnal? How does the controller feel to you playing this game?
I don't feel like it really adds anything. It doesn't really get taken advantage of. There's some really heavy rumbles, but what it does do is give a ton of sound and really immersive sound at the front of the controller that I really do like. But for the actual haptics, I'm like, I could live without them. And everything is adjustable in this game, which is really crazy. So you can change up every last feature, which is really, really cool. And super quickly, like just like on the fly, you're like, screw this audio on your thing. I want it down. Boom, away you go. But yeah, I don't know. Have you found any haptics that you're like, this is great?
Oh man, so Astro's Playroom for me is one of them where it's like, okay, this is amazing. And even like a game like Returnal, you did pretty damn well when you use like the half button press for the zoom in, and then you press all the way up, and bam, you get like that ultimate move. But yeah, like that's the thing with haptics. I love them when they work really well, but when they don't, you're like, this game could have utilized them. That's a little bit of a bummer that it doesn't utilize it.
It doesn't use it as well as Sackboy does, and I played like the Sackboy. I just love that game so much. But yeah, it doesn't use it as well as Sackboy, but it does things that Sackboy definitely doesn't do.
Okay. That said, though, let's talk about the enemies of this game. How are they feeling?
Sure.
How I guess not to say difficult, but how varied are they? Are they like the same people you're fighting over and over again, or
you know, when you come to think of it, you really do fight a lot of the same guys over and over again, and they kind of change them up and they give them armor and shields as you progress through the game. But for the most part, you're fighting a lot of the same enemies on repeat.
Now, I'm sorry to cut you off, but like I'm figuring because of all the weapons you have, it's more about the weapons than the enemies you're fighting. It's more about switching your weapons on the fly to dispatch whatever enemies that are on the battlefield at that point in time.
Yeah.
If memory serves right.
And then like a boss that you fought like 3 levels ago then comes back with like 3 boss versions of him, you know, and like they just keep piling on the enemies on top of each other. And there's like really interesting boss fights, don't get me wrong, and there's really interesting characters. There is just a lot of repetition. But until you even asked me that, I hadn't even thought about that. Like it hadn't even crossed my mind or bothered me, where most games it would. I think it's just because I am just busy blowing shit up.
Now, the one thing that just occurred to me as you were talking, Brock, is the weapon wheel. Almost forgot about that. Ratchet and Clank has made this just so famous in how it utilizes its weapon wheel. Usually in video games, weapon wheels are not my particular like favorite thing, a part of the UI, but Ratchet and Clank always does a phenomenal job. What are your thoughts on how it's evolved in Rift Apart?
I hate the weapon wheel usually, man, too. I'm in the same boat. It's annoying, but I just don't mind it. I find it really fun. And because the battles are so chaotic and so fast, it's like, okay, I'm going to take a little breather and just switch. And you can have your 4 top weapons done to your directional pad there, but everything else is just through the weapon wheel, and it moves really quickly. And I do find like ammo is really hard to come by, which makes you like switch a lot of the weapons a lot of the time to keep it really fresh, and you have way more than 4 eventually. So you're really just mixing and matching and swapping. And it's just so much fun to like see what different ones do. I haven't been able to tell if some enemies have a weakness to certain certain weapons or not. I feel like they do, and it's something I need to keep playing around with in the arena in the game.
Okay, cool. Now let's move over to story. Of course, non-spoilers. I want to get to the main ones, Ratchet and Clank and the new character Rivet.
They're really good. Ratchet's, Clank is very good. Clank has an incredible story, which I really like. Now, okay, and maybe I'm just not remembering the last few games, but why is there like one voice actor in like all of Ratchet and Clank though? Or is that just exclusive to this game? Because a lot of like the villains are just voiced by one dude, and it's so annoying.
I don't remember that well, because I got an old man brain as well. So you're saying like
right.
Main voice cast, fantastic, but the enemies are just like one dude.
There's like, all the side characters all just have the same dude's voice, and it's probably like Nolan North or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, of course it is. But no, it's just like, oh my God, it's just the same repetitive dude, like being so showman-y. It gets a little annoying, but the main cast is fantastic.
How's Rivet? Because Rivet's been the one we're all curious about. We wanted to know her name. We want to know her story arc. Does it feel fulfilling here as well? And does her video actor kind of capture, Rivet's energy?
Rivet's incredible. Rivet's so good, and Rivet's a really welcome addition to the game. And her character really, it goes through a lot during the whole course of the game. You really get to know her. I don't want to like ruin too much at all. But I will say I think fans will be really satisfied. And at first, like I thought the game was like, okay, whatever. Like the storyline is very Ratchet and Clanky and not all that great. But it just gets so much better. And I feel like there's like 18 different endings. You're like, oh, I'm almost at the end already. And it's like, just kidding. We're just getting started. And you're like, oh, damn. Okay, there's a lot more. And then this happens like 5 more times. And I'm like, okay, I'm not almost finished.
All right, awesome. Also, I almost forgot this. Does she play any different from Ratchet? From what I saw, from what we've seen from the state of play, not different. I know she has like a hammer that like
it's the exact same, which is kind of strange. So every weapon you get, she also gets.
Okay.
So when you switch between characters, it's the same. The only changes is you have armor. So you have a pair of boots, shoulder pads, and then a helmet you can change. And they can each wear different ones that does show up in like cutscenes and when you're fighting. And they all have different specialties behind them.
Well, it's awesome to see that fans and newcomers alike are going to be really digging this story and these characters. We talked a little bit about how guns sound. I want to talk about other sounds, though. How is the music and the ambiance in this game?
That's like the most forgettable part to me.
I love a good soundtrack. I
don't know why it hasn't stood out to me at all. Okay. I've noticed it a few times. I'm like, okay, it's cool, but like really has been just kind of the disappointment in an otherwise pretty excellent game.
Oh, here's a question. Headphones or TV audio?
I've tried both.
Both?
But I'm usually playing this with TV audio.
Okay, cool. I wanted to know about that 3D audio.
Yeah, it's great because all you can hear is the weapons, which kind of overlay over everything else. So you don't even notice the music. All you hear is like bam, 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 bam.
Right. So even like the world's like ambiance, that's all I need to hear.
It definitely doesn't blow me away. It's not like Returnal, man, where its sound is so incredibly crucial. This is, or even like Resident Evil. It's just, it is what it is.
Let's talk about loading.
Okay.
These consoles are all about.
There you go.
There you go.
Here's our conversation on loading.
Bam! It's instant. So there was the thing where it's like he has like this gravity hook and it hooks him in like other dimensions, and that's pretty much it. Just like it's non-existent in this game, it feels.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, there is loading, but like it's quick cutscenes or something. Like I've never seen a loading bar. There's the elevator trick, and there's like the falling down trick. There's a few of the classic things, but really there isn't really any real loading times. It's incredibly quick and fluid, and yes, you can jump between like worlds instantaneously, and it's pretty mind-blowing. I was trying to explain it to my girlfriend. I was like, look at this. This is so wild. And she's like, I don't get it. And I'm like, never mind. I don't think most people will. Like, I don't think kids will ever get that. They don't have no idea how different this is. But it's I was just sitting there like looking at the draw distance. I'm like, holy, you can see so far. Like, it's just, it's at times like super mind blowing. And it's so nice because this is like really the first big PS5 game we're getting, right? Like, holy.
And does it live up to it? Like, with all the hype, with all the teases, with all the reveals, visually it says it's blown your mind, right? Story wise, it holds up pretty darn well. Weapons are fantastic. Characters are also fantastic. Does this game live up to the Brock Mclaughlin hype?
Now we pause with anticipation.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I think there's some short falls. Music, the story's okay. I think it's better than most Ratchet and Clank games, but it's a platforming story at the end of the day. It's nothing crazy. There is some heart-wrenching moments, and like we didn't even mention a guy named Kit, who's like my new favorite. I don't know if Kit's kind of been advertised or anything at all, and I was looking at the spoiler things. I can talk about him. He's a yellow bot. He's really cool. He's got a great she's got a great story. And yeah, there's a lot to love about this game, and it's just a really fun PlayStation game. I mean, when I first played PS2, like one of the first games I played was Ratchet, and when I got the PS3, I think one of the first games I played was Ratchet. And it just feels really, really fun and carefree, and it's just what I need. Like last year at this time, we were talking about Last of Us 2, man, and that was like, we're like all just been in 3 months of COVID, and we're like, this is so depressing. And now it's like, wow, this is just a really great summer game you can like kick back, and it's just a really, really fun time. So yes, a long story short, it lives up to the hype. I didn't set any kind of expectations or anything. I just wanted a fun game, and that's what it is, and it looks just incredible. There's nothing else I've ever played that has looked this good at all. There just isn't. This is like the first of its kind, and it does things you definitely have never seen in a video game, which is saying something, right? Like, we're video game guys. We played hours and hours and hours of video games. We think we've seen it all, but it's truly like a first experience in a lot of ways, which is really, really cool. And I'm glad it gets to be Ratchet and Clank because they're cool characters, and it's family friendly. Like, everyone can participate in this game. You don't have to be like an elite edgy gamer, it's like a whole family can experience this for the first time, and that's really cool. And it's easy enough, and you can scale the difficulty. It's a great accessible game that really will like blow people away, and I think will be the first like system or like reason to get the next gen consoles.
That is awesome. That is so amazing to hear. And I think it's also something we all expected to hear as well, because I mean, everything from this game just looked so promising, and it kind of spoke to my childhood as well, playing it as a kid, and now as an adult, knowing that kids are going to get their hands on this magic that I fell in love with is really awesome to hear, man. It's freaking awesome, right?
There is a whole lot of magic here. There was like a Panzer Dragoon level, man, that blew my mind. I was like so stoked. I was like yelling at my TV. I'm like, yes. And then there's other parts where I was like on a boat, and it reminded me of the first time I played Skyrim. And I was like, wow, I can't wait for the Elder Scrolls 6. And like, if it looks anything like this, like, we're all in for a treat. The next 5-6 years of this console generation are going to be incredible. Like, this is just the start of it, and it looks this good. I can't wait to see where it comes next. Now, I don't think there's any exclusive games coming out till who knows when after this, so I'm going to enjoy this moment.
Dude, that is so awesome, and thank you again for dropping on by. You got me even more excited.
Thanks.
For this game, which is something to say.
Great, I was just ranting and raving away.
No, that's what we're here. I'm here to interview you. You did fantastic. Nice. So, Brock, let everybody know where they can find you on Twitterverse, what you do, all that stuff.
Yeah, sweet. You can find me at Brock Mclaughlin on Twitter. I'm Temporarily not really blogging that much on my own, but you can find me at Brockstar Gaming. I do a lot of freelance stuff these days, so you can find me all across the internet, but Twitter's where I like to hang out. And you know, that's it. That's me.
And you can find us over at PS Trophy Room on Twitter. You can find me over at Mr. Babbitt. And please let us know in the comments your questions, your comments, your concerns. How did you like this style of video? Because I'd like to do more of these in the future. So let me know what you'd like to see improved, what you'd like to see more of. Let me know in the comment section down below. So with all that said, with all that out of the way, please hit like, share, subscribe, keep your wits about you, and keep playing PlayStation. See you guys.